Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lingua Loom. Today we're going to start another topic of the Semantics series. This is ambiguity in language. I saw a man with a telescope. Who had the telescope? One sentence, but there are two completely different meanings. That one is I saw a man who's having a telescope, or I saw with the telescope a man. So this sort of situation causes an ambiguity in language. So today we're going to discuss this, that how ambiguity is caused and what sort of meaning does it create. So before starting the topic, please do like, subscribe and share and do comment as it means a lot for the channel. So let's start. One sentence, more than one meaning at the same time. Ambiguity occurs when a single linguistic expression, which is a word, a phrase, or a sentence, permits two or more genuinely distinct interpretations, and nothing in a sentence itself tells you which one is intended. This is different from vagueness, which means where a single fuzzy meaning admits unclear boundary cases, and different from polysemy in isolation, which is a word's multiple senses. Ambiguity specifically means a sentence as a whole can be parsed or interpreted in multiple, complete, coherent ways. Linguists distinguish several distinct sources of ambiguity, each has its own structure. So, what is ambiguity? First, let's go with the definition. A sentence is ambiguous if it has more than one possible meaning or interpretation, and a competent speaker, intercounting it out of context, cannot determine which meaning is intended without additional information. This is distinct from a sentence simply being unclear or poorly worded. True linguistic ambiguity arises from the structure itself. So, simple to be saying, ambiguity is not a flaw. It is a structured way of saying something that causes multiple ways or to interpret meaning. So, there are different types of meaning. Lexical ambiguity, different types of ambiguity. Lexical ambiguity, the structure or syntactic, which is a sentence level. Scope ambiguity is logical operator level, and referential ambiguity referring to pronoun are at reference level. So each has its own separate treatment. A linguistic expression is ambiguous if it is associated with two or more distinct meanings or structural analysis that cannot be simultaneously true of the same context. Distinguished from vagueness, in which a clear meaning has unclear or gradient boundaries. So first one is lexical ambiguity. This is caused by a single word with multiple meanings. Homonymy or polysemy operated at sentence level is not that. So lexical ambiguity arises when a sentence contains a word that has more than one possible meaning. So a classic example is I saw a man with a telescope. So here is ambiguity. You don't know, or is it talking about the man or the telescope, which is causing ambiguity. Then comes another example we're taking from Urdu Sona. Now here it gives two meaning because it refers to two things. One is gold, which is a precious metal, and the other one is to sleep, which is the verb. So it depends on how it is used in a sentence to understand the meaning of ambiguity. Then comes structural ambiguity, second type, caused by grammatical structure of a sentence itself. The structural ambiguity, sometimes known as syntactic ambiguity, occurs when a sentence words can be grouped into phrases. Its constituent structure in more than one way, producing two distinct grammatical analyses. So the famous example, I saw the man with a telescope. Here, I saw the man. This is how we do bracket representation to understand the meaning. Here, the man is used as separate constituent, and this one is separate, but to understand the analysis with the telescope modifies the saw. So here, I saw with the telescope. If you remove the man, it is still complete, but another meaning that is giving I saw I used a telescope to see a man or the man. So this is how it is called the structural ambiguity, as it causes uncertainty in meaning. This is called PP attachment ambiguity. The prepositional phrase with the telescope can attach either to the verb phrase or to the noun phrase, which is causing ambiguity. Here is an Urdu example. मैंने दूरबीन वाले आदमी को देखा. This is the translation of the English example, which is this one. It's the same used in Urdu. Then comes the scope ambiguity, the third type, caused by logical operators. Okay. Like every, some, not, or whose relative scope is unclear, a problem at the interface of syntax and logic. Scope ambiguity arises when a sentence contains two or more logical operators, quantifiers like every, some, all, no, negation, not, or logical connection, and or, and their relative order of logical application is not determined by the surface order. The classic example is every student read a book. So reading a wide scope for every student. There exist some books that they read, possibly a different book for every student. So this type of ambiguity was formally analyzed by Bertrand Russell in 1905 and became central to formal or truth conditional semantics in the work of Richard Montague in 1970s. Scope ambiguity demonstrated that sentence alone does not determine logical meaning. So this is the sentence to be focused. There is a separate level of semantic representation where quantifier scope is resolved. Then let's move forward to referential ambiguity caused by unclear antecedent for the pronoun or referring expression. Who or what does it or he actually points to. So this ambiguity occurs when a pronoun, demonstrative, or other referring expression has more than one possible antecedent in the surrounding discourse. The classic example is Ali told Sarah that he had passed the exam. So here does he refers to Ali or to someone else? Here Ali will look at he. Does it refer to Ali or is Ali talking about someone else? If he's talking about his friend or his close fellow or anyone else. So here it is causing an ambiguity that we don't know to whom he's referring. Is it either himself or someone else? So a specific famous subtype is donkey anaphora, named after the famous example which every farmer who owns a donkey bears it. Studied extensively in formal semantics because the pronoun it does not have a single fixed referent in standard sense. Its interpretation depends on the quantificational structure of a sentence. This connects referential ambiguity to the formal semantics traditional pioneered by Gage and developed a camp in discourse representation theory. So moving forward, two trees, one sentence, which is ambiguity is consisting of one sentence branching into two trees, giving different set of meanings. So let's look at I saw the man with the telescope. This is an example that we're going to first look at. Okay, this one is just this. Okay, reading one is with the telescope attached to VP, which is verb phrase. Like this is the interpretation. I use the telescope as an instrument to see the man. With the telescope modifies the verb V. The second interpretation is the man was carrying the telescope. With the telescope modifies the noun phrase the man. Then flying planes can be dangerous. The first interpretation, the activity of piloting planes can be dangerous. So flying is gerund describing the action here. Second interpretation, in planes that are flying can be dangerous. Flying describes the planes themselves. Then comes the third example, visiting relatives can be exhausting. The first interpretation is the act of going to visit one's relative can be exhausting. You are the one traveling or visiting. The second interpretation is Relatives who are visiting, staying at your home can be exhausting to host, relatives, or the visitors here. Then let's identify the ambiguity type. Let's click the sentence. She found the bat in the garden. First one is lexical ambiguity because it is caused by just one word. Either bat is an animal here, or is it which is a flying mammal, or it is a sporting equipment like baseball bat or cricket bat. Then also a man with a telescope. Here it is structural ambiguity, two sort of interpretations here, that every student reads a book. It is a scope ambiguity. The ambiguity arises from the relative logical scope of the two quantifiers, like every here. That only tells what is that he had one. So here referential ambiguity, don't know who is he here, is it Oli or someone else? And the chicken is ready to eat. It's a structural ambiguity. Here, chicken. Here, this is a structural ambiguity arising from the relationship between chicken and the infinitive to eat. The chicken is ready to eat. Is it cooked for people, or is it the chicken, which is an animal, which is ready to feed on its food? Then I didn't see everyone. So scope ambiguity, negation, and quantifier here. So everyone is not determined by the surface order, word order. This is the classic case. This is the formal semantics. Then let's look at the garden path sentence. The garden path sentence is a special case where a sentence leads the reader towards one structural analysis, then forces a complete reanalysis partway through, often producing a moment of genuine confusion. The term comes from the idiom to be led down the garden path, or to be misled. First systematically studied by Beaver in 1970, the horse raced past the barn fell. So most readers initially parsed raced as a main verb, and then hit the wall at fell, which has no grammatical place. Now, it can be the horse raced past the barn. It can be a noun phrase, and then this is VP, but sometimes many interpret this one as VP and just this part as NP. So this is what shows that how ambiguity in meaning can cause, a sentence can cause in meaning. So here are the different interpretations. The horse raced assume that horse is racing. Then second, to pass the bone seems to complete the sentence, but fell, no grammatical role left for fell. So reanalysis raced, here that was raced fell. So this shows the interpretation that the horse which was racing, it fell. Then old man, the bird. Initially, the old man is read as a noun phrase, and the sentence seems incomplete or broken. The correct parse old, which is adjective modifying an implied group, man, a verb, and the bird is its object. The full meaning is the old man, which is crew, the bird. This is a famous example of category ambiguity. A man can be a noun or a verb here, and the cotton pot occurs because the noun reading its initial much more available. Then how speaker resolve ambiguity? So by checking real world plausibility, like what is in what context something is being said, and prior context same as this one, and frequency and familiarity. You get familiar to certain sort of situation in which something is being said, so you get to understand it. The prosody in speech, which is stress, in which you always saw the man with the telescope. If you hear with is being stressed out mode, it means that you're using the telescope. Then comes the pragmatic inference, which is again the same, that irrelevant communication, which is Gaussian's cooperative principle, that you have to listen well to the and understand the interpretation, and then you get to know that what is being said to avoid ambiguity. In computational models, NLP resolves ambiguity using statistical models trained on enormous text corpora, which help them to understand and avoid ambiguity in certain sort of situations. Then this is ambiguity in Urdu. We have already discussed it, so I'll just slow it down so you can read the examples and understand them. It's written for mostly the one with Urdu speaking so they can understand in their own language. Why ambiguity matters. First of all, in legal drafting to avoid any sort of situation which causes problem. Then machine learning for NLPs to understand better that how communication occurs. It is better to train the models to avoid ambiguity than humor and wordplay. Sometimes ambiguity causes humorous situation. Then headline ambiguity. Headline in news tend to cause ambiguity. Like this example, police help dog bite victim. So this is sort of ambiguous situation. Then cognitive science research to understand in research in deep mind that how language is processed by people. Then poetic and literary effect, it is done by writers to call certain sorts of ambiguous situation that it depends on reader to interpret meaning on their own. So ambiguity is not noise in the system of language, it is a direct consequence of very efficiency that makes language possible, reusing a finite stock of words and structure to express an infinite range of meanings inevitably produce moments where more than one meaning fits. So that's it for today. I hope you understand it that ambiguity is just not on the sentence level, it is on the word level too, and it causes a situation where you have to be very much attentive to understand that what kind of meaning is being employed in this set of situation. So I hope you understand it. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.